Let's go through a quick little walk around on our next-gen D7 dozer, and we'll start up here at the front on the blade. So depending on the gauge of the tractor you get, either standard gauge, which is our narrow gauge, or an LGP, low ground pressure wide gauge, you've got several different options for blades. SU blades, universal blades, LGP angle blade, LGP straight blade. You've got special blades for landfill, wood chip, several different options on blades. What we've done in general, though, specifically on this SU, is the next-gen D7 is a bit larger tractor. It's got a little more weight, it's got a little more horsepower, and so we've got a larger blade on it as well, too. It's roughly 10% larger than the previous D7E blade, giving you a bit more productivity. Now, this blade does have a D8 style tag link system. So the push arms, again, we use some D8 components on here, but we also have a D8 style tag link and tag link ball and sockets on here as well. So giving us some really good durability. Now what we like about a tag link blade in terms of an SU or a U blade is that it does get that blade closer to the tractor. Right? So the tag link allows us to not need that L-shaped push arm that we have on the D6 and the old D7E, but it gets that blade a little closer to the tractor, which gives us a little bit more penetration force, a little bit better cutting ability when you get into those heavier types of soils. Also gives great visibility down to the back of the blade when you are doing spreading and grading type of work, so you can see that material flow underneath that blade as well too. So very good heavy-duty style blades, multiple cell constructions, and several different options for wear plates on the blades, as well as rock guards on the top as well too. And then of course several different cutting edge options. So business end of the blade, definitely a key component here. Now most of these blades are going to have a stiff link on the left-hand side that gives you an optional 3 different pitch settings on this blade as well too. We do not offer dual tilt on the D7. That starts at the D8 and works its way up. So now while we're talking about structures, let's get into the frame of the tractor. Of course, this is a brand new frame for this tractor, and it is not an old D7R frame that we've basically tuned up. It's completely different. It's certainly not the D7E frame either, because this is a high drive tractor. So we use a lot of D8 components on this frame. Starting up front here, we do use a D8 radiator shroud. Basically the hard nose of the tractor, frog eyes, all of that is going to be right off of a D8. So we like commonality. We like to be able to use those components where we can. We're also using a D8 rear case and frame back here as well too. So all the castings on the back end are going to be D8 as well. So again, giving us a lot of durability back in there. Now the D7 does use its own uniquely designed frame rails, similar to a D8, just smaller. So we talk about scaling components up and down as well too. Our roller frames are going to be very similar to the D5 and D6 style roller frames, but again, scaled up to be a bit larger. But some of the successful design that we've brought into here is going to be our nice large pivot shaft and pivot shaft casting here. And then of course we keep that nice large cross-sectional tube going forward and backwards off of that, which gives us a lot of strength and durability in these areas. Of course, on your D7, you are going to have our typical Canon style of idler control here. It gives us very good idler bracing. Of course, it's a wet, lubricated system, and it's going to give us all the recoil there with the spring and grease adjust as well too. But very good and durable, kind of fit for life in terms of the adjusting of this, which on a high drive tractor, we like having this wet lubricated system because now you don't have to adjust any of the shims or whatnot to keep your idler intact and basically in line and tracking true in both a horizontal and a vertical alignment as well too. So in terms of that, we really like the Canon. A very heavy duty type of system and gives us very good idler tracking on this as well. So D7 does have a hard bottom system. So when you go up into the D8, that's when you get into the suspended undercarriage, but the D7 does have hard bottom. On our standard gauge, you're going to have 8 rollers. On the LGP, you're going to get 9 rollers, so a little bit longer there. Now one thing I also want to point out is the standard gauge tractor is an XR style of roller frame. So with our XR on the previous D7R back in the day, we stuck this rear idler back just a little bit further, which gave us a little bit more support, and a little better balance when you're ripping. So this is going to give us that XR style of support, just like the old XR, but it is now the standard gauge. So standard gauge gives you XR type of undercarriage. So In terms of the undercarriage itself, we do use a PPR2 style of undercarriage. So PPR2 stands for positive pin retention, and so these are the swage material here that we press into the locking ring on the outside of the pin. And what that does is that locks the link into the pin. So when you get into those situations where you've got a lot of shoe bending and twisting type of forces, this is going to lock the link onto the pin and keep that link from wanting to walk off. When you get some more hours and age onto an undercarriage, what can happen is especially in higher impact situations, those links will want to walk off there. When they start to move out, that's going to lose sealing of the undercarriage seal, lets the oil out, and then it's kind of done at that point. So what we're doing is we're kind of getting that last 20% of life out of this undercarriage by using this locking material to be able to lock those links and pins together there, and we call that PPR2. We've had it on the D8s and D9s for quite a while, and it's now available on the D7 as well as the 6 and the 5. So that's our heavy-duty extended life undercarriage. Of course, we've got our elevated sprocket in here. High drive is one of the key features of the next-gen D7 dozer, and that elevated sprocket gives us a lot of great features in here. You know, first and foremost is when you're going to get in there and clean out that undercarriage. Pulling that up in the air gives you a nice clean area here to be able to push that material in, let it fall off the inside, of course dragging off the outside. You know, you can get all the way around the pivot shaft on both sides, so really makes life easier in terms of clean out. But in terms of component life, we're talking about keeping this sprocket up in the air. It's out of the impact and shock zone, so you're not banging that down on any of the ground objects, which can cause some life, you know, lower life on a sprocket. So we like to get that up in the air, and now that also gives us some heavy durable components down here that are going to absorb all of that shock loading and all of that impact as you're going over that rougher ground. So pulling that up in the air again gives us better serviceability as well. It's going to be easy to get in here and change your sprocket ring and your sprocket segments as you need to. And of course, you know, any of the oil sampling or changing your oil on your final drives is going to be easier to do because it is up and out of the way. So we love our elevated sprockets here. Lots of different options for work tools on the back of this tractor while we're back here: rippers, winches, drawbar. In terms of balance on the machine, we like a D7 to have some pretty good front weight and front cutting ability. But yet we want to be balanced enough that you can do some grading and spreading work as well too. So if you don't have a ripper or a winch on the back of this tractor, you do need to have something back there for proper balance. So that's going to be a drawbar and some slabs of counterweight, or striker bar box and some slabs of counterweight as well too. So keep that in mind. You're going to configure this a lot like you would a D8. If you need, you know, if you don't have anything on the back, you need to have something on the back. So drawbar and slabs are going to be required if you don't have a ripper or winch on there. So let's get in and talk just a little bit about the powertrain and some of the other features of this tractor. So this is our 9.3B engine. So it's the B series of the engine. What we did there was we did a lot of simplification of the engine. One in particular, we did clean up the emissions system on this to the point that we don't have an EGR system on this tractor at all. We use the SCR, selective catalytic reduction, as our main emissions control. And these tractors do use a bit more DEF than the previous D7E did. So this is going to be a little more DEF heavy, between 5 and 7% of fuel consumption. So it is the 9.3B. We've upped the horsepower on this tractor, so it's 265 net, which is 309 gross. So lots of power in here and great efficiency as well too. 9.3B has been a good engine for us, really working well for us. Now that's made it up to a 4-speed lockup clutch powertrain. So the D7E had the electric drive powertrain, redesigned that into the D6XE for our second gen of that on the D6 size, but the D7, we went ahead and put our 4-speed lockup clutch powertrain in here. It's the same transmission that we've got in the D8, very similar to what we have in the D6 as well too. And so that transmission is a lockup clutch torque divider, which gives us great efficiency and good pushing power when you're spreading those loads. But it will unlock as it needs to get you that extra cutting ability. Now the 4-speed in here is going to give you all of that extra, you know, productivity and efficiency in those lower gear ranges, right? So your 4 gears in the 4-speed are 1.0, 1.5, 2.0, and 3.0. Now it's a fully automatic transmission, so You put it in 2.0 and you hit the piles, it'll automatically downshift to 1.5 as it needs to get through that heavy cut, maybe downshift to 1.0 if you're in a really heavy cut, and then it's going to automatically upshift as you start to spread and carry that material out. So great, efficient transmission, and really happy, been working really well for us. So cooling system on this tractor is going to be traditional type of hydraulic fan. So it is a sucker fan, the fan's in front, the radiator on the back side. Of course, your cooling air is going to come in the side and go out the front. Now, one thing you'll notice on the side of this is we do have our slotted radiator cleanout slot here. So loosen these 2 bolts up, slide that out of the way, and you can get an air wand in there, and that'll allow you to blow the air, the radiators out nice and easily, you know, right from the side of the tractor. So it does a really good job in terms of cleaning. Now, these do have reversing fans as standard on the tractor. So you'll definitely get a lot of utility out of that reversing fan where it automatically reverses. But if you do need to get in, you know, depending on the type of debris in your application, once a week, once every couple of weeks in there, maybe once a day, depending on your application. This does make it really easy to get in there with an air wand and blow that material back out. Of course, that's going to, you know, blow it back into the engine compartment where it's going to fall down and go into the belly pans. We do have hinged belly pans on these tractors, so they are nice and easy to clean and safe to do as well too with that hinging. So it makes it a little bit easier to get down there and clean that. Now, of course, we can't you know, do a walk around without talking about how awesome our next gen cab is. So this is the very similar cab to what we have on the D5 and the D6. But the D7, of course, you know, being that next generation cab, great visibility all the way around. Air handling is excellent in here. Seat adjustments, the display in there, lots of great features and lots of great comfort built into that cab. So I also want to go ahead and hit just a little bit about some of the safety on this tractor as well. So steps and handles all the way around. You notice that the handles are all color black, so they're very easy to see in that you know, contrast with the tractor. So, and we've got the railing on the left-hand side here. Your fuel and def fill are on the left-hand side as well, which is a great reason to have that railing up there. So a little bit of extra security up there. Even things as simple as the halo grab iron all the way around that tractor. So when you get up there, you can always throw your hand up on top of that cab and there's going to be a handhold for you all the way around there. Now, if your site does require tie-off, we do have tie-off points in the front center. You can see the loop there, and then on the back of that halo grab iron as well too. So there are some good tie-off points there as well. So in terms of your daily serviceability and your daily service work around this tractor, of course, you're going to have a lot of left-hand checks on this side. Pop that door open. You're going to have your engine oil. You're also your coolant bottle up front there with a sight gauge on it. If you do need to get into anything heavier, you've got this side panel that you can just pull right out. Toolless removal of that side panel to get into your filters. Be able to check those. On the ground here, we do have what we call our ground level service center. This is on all of the Cat dozers. For years we've had this, and then of course in our next gen as well too. So that's going to have your main machine disconnect. It's going to have your block heater plug if equipped. Access lighting, so nice little switch you flip, gives you lighting to be able to get up and down on the tractor. Automatically shuts off after a couple of minutes. Okay, and then of course your emergency shutdown. If you did need to shut that down from ground level, that would allow you to do that. And then an hour meter down below here as well too. So nice and easy, lockable door there, or not lockable, but latch on that door. So keeping that nice and clean for you there. Of course, again, daily service, you've got your fuel and def fill up here on the left-hand side. So again, nice and easy to get to. And then the shovel holder is there as well too. Your air cleaner for the cab can be accessed right around the back side there. And of course, you can reach around there and do that back window a little bit as well too while you're checking that out. Fast fill on these tractors is an option certainly, but the fast fill Wiggins connector is back here right behind the fuel tank and easy to get to, again, if you do have that fast fill type of connection. Now with a construction or earth moving dozer, we've got several options in here that are going to help you to be more efficient and be more productive. And one in particular is going to be our SU dozer with our performance cutting edges. So the performance cutting edge system is something we introduced a couple years ago. And what this does is it gives you more cutting ability, it gives you better grading ability, and also gives you more mass payload on your blade. And it does it a couple different ways here. So the performance cutting edge, what we've got is a set of edges here that the center edge is a traditional edge profile, right? You can see that the angle of attack of that cutting edge is the same on the center. But on the outside here, we've got these guys swept underneath. And what this does is it allows a little bit more of a slicing action, and it also gives you two different planes horizontally of cutting with this cutting edge. So in terms of that slicing action, as you're cutting material and pulling that onto the blade, what it's going to do is it's going to load more bank dense material onto the blade. It's not going to tend to break it up as much and turn it into loose. So that more bank dense material helps you get more payload on the blade, and therefore it allows you to get more mass in each push. So increasing that productivity, sometimes 10, sometimes 15 or 20%, depending on the material you're in. It also does a great job of cutting into harder and heavier materials, possibly reducing some of the ripping that you might have to do. Okay. Now in really, really sticky materials, it may have a little bit more carryback on here, but in general, most of the type of materials we see these tractors getting into, performance cutting edges do a great job of helping to increase your payload and also get into some of those heavier type of cutting. The last thing that they do, the last couple of things, the outer swept end bit here is going to help to keep the windrows down, so it's going to help to keep that material in front of the blade, reduce the number of windrows. And the last bit is related to serviceability. These are a non-flip type of edge. So the edge is designed to last twice as long as a traditional edge, but it is not able to be flipped. So you don't have to do that flip midlife of that cutting edge. So it gives you a little bit of an advantage in serviceability as well there too. So that's the performance cutting edge system, and it works great for construction, earth moving type of applications. Next Gen D7 has a lot of great serviceability features. So nice big wide opening door here. And we've also got a latch on the end of that, so it's going to keep that from blowing back at us. Of course, our bottom panel just lifts to remove. So get that out of the way, and that gives you great access to all of the features you need to be able to hit inside of your service bay. You've got, of course, your daily checks, engine oil dipstick, coolant sight gauge up front there as well, too. Be able to check the back of your radiator, clean that off if you need to. Of course, you've got your filter access down here, ether bottle access as well, and then your fast fill for your coolant, for your powertrain oil and your engine oil as well, too. I also want to point out we've got a nice LED light in here to help you get that done. Of course, wee hours of the morning or late at night. So good air filter access as well too here. So great access on the for serviceability and your daily checks on your Next Gen D7. Next Gen D7's got safety built into the tractor. We've got handholds all the way around here, working your way up to that tractor. And of course, the Halo grab iron all the way around the cab as well, and tie-off points if you do need to tie off. We've also got this nice safety railing up here as well, which keeps you nice and safe while you're up topping off your DEF, filling up your fuel, and even getting in and servicing your cabin air filter. The Next Gen Dozer cab is a great place to spend the day, a very comfortable and productive environment for an operator to get his work done. And it all starts with the Next Gen seat. So we've got our Next Gen seat here, nice leather, very nice seat. You've got your all your adjustments, of course, with fore and aft. You've got seat pan adjustments here as well. It is an air seat, so you can raise or lower that seat with this big tab up the front there, and then all of your lumbars and your seat back control back here. If you do opt for the premium seat, you're going to have control down here for your heated and cooled, so that'll give you air circulation in the seat, or a heated seat, which is really nice on those cold winter days. In terms of controls here, right, I can slide my pods fore and aft. In fact, I kind of like to slide this one back so that I've got good access to get in and out, and then just slide it up forward when I'm ready to work and get them set right where I want to. Left-hand control, of course, is going to be your Dozer directional control. So I've got my steering in here, forward, neutral, reverse, my track speed, and then, of course, my speed recall button here as well. On my right hand, this is going to be my Dozer controls. I've got my two buttons on here for grade control, whether it be 2D slope assist or 3D cat grade. And then, of course, I got my trigger that I can use for offsets as well, too. So the ripper control over here is a traditional four-barrel ripper control. So I've got my raise and lower, and I've got my my shank tilt here as well too. A couple buttons down here. The top button does give me my auto stow feature. In terms of storage and whatnot around the cab, we've got lots of places for cups, 2-liter bottle, cell phones, you name it, all the way around this cab. Lunchbox down below here or in the back. So buttons and other controls, we've got our key and our parking brake hydraulic lock over here. I've got my light controls as well too. One of which is the light that is my auxiliary light on the back end for seeing my ripper really well. I've got that. throttle buttons here, and then of course my bidirectional button, which will bring it up on the screen and allow me to change my bidirectional settings. I've got my wiper and washer controls here, climate controls up top, my radio that I can hook my phone in for Bluetooth, and then here's the microphone for Bluetooth, so I can use that hands-free just like I would in my F350. So really a nice, comfortable cab, and lots of intelligent controls all the way around. Now, in terms of the monitor, I've got my 10-inch color touchscreen monitor down here, and that's going to give me access to, you know, for my backup camera, slope assist, of course, and you know, any of the settings or a diagnostic service that I need to do through that monitor. If I did have the 3D grade control, that would be the monitor would be down below here in this second bay. At this point, I don't have that in here, so I've just got a nice little glove box here that I can store some items in as well. So visibility around the cab is really good. So I've got great visibility, of course, to my blade up front there. I can even see over the tracks and underneath the blade. If I'm spreading material, I can watch that material feather out underneath the blade. Make sure I'm getting my lifts in there correctly. Good visibility all the way around the tractor, nice around the side. Of course, great visibility out back to my ripper and to my ripper tip down there as well. Be able to see that. So, you know, just a nice, comfortable cab that is a great place to spend the day.